Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? You're like, where's this? I'm at Brit's place right now. I just got back from Las Vegas. Oh man, I'm running on fumes. The 3 hours of sleep. I went to see Brit play last night. She was out there doing a residency with Ashley Simpson, and so I went to check out their show. Just flew in for the day, and then they had a little shindig last night afterwards, and I was up late, and then I had to get up at 6:45 to fly back to LA. So I'm back here now, and I made the executive decision to just do this here because I was like, I don't think I can muster up the energy. But this is special because you get to see this guy. Say hi, Toes. Oh, look at him performing for you all. Toby. Are you mad at me because I left you alone for a day? Huh? Is that what's going on? Anyway, he loves this little window hang. And if he does anything interesting, I'll be sure and turn the camera around so you can see him. He's the best. So there's something new for Sunday Live. You've never seen Toby. Or maybe when I've done this at my place, you did once or twice years ago if you're a long-time viewer. Because sometimes I've done this at my place. Anyways, so what happened this week? Got into the studio, started doing a little bit of work, cutting a track for somebody. I busted out my old Mojave MA200 tube mic, which I haven't actually used in years. And I put it on I restrung my Martin D28, and tried a couple different mics. I tried Audio-Technica 4050, which I love, and the Mojave. And for what I was doing, the Mojave just edged it out. It had a little more mojo, which you might expect. It's a nice tube mic. It's kind of like a, modern version of a cardioid-only U67 or something. It sounds really beautiful. It's just got a nice, sort of extended, like enhanced, I would say, top end. The 4050 sounded more neutral in comparison. Great. I mean, I could have gone with it and did what I was doing, and it would have been just fine. But the Mojave really sounded good. I've had a problem with that Mojave mic over the years where it's like intermittent sometimes. Like it doesn't cut out completely, but all the body drops out of the sound of it. And I took it to them a while ago. Mojave is the same company that makes Royer microphones, by the way, the ribbons, like the classic, at this point, 121. Mojave is the name of their sort of more condenser and tube microphones. And then Royer is sort of reserved for the ribbons. At least I think that's the way they kind of delineate. But anyways, I took it to them. They looked at it. They couldn't find anything wrong with it. It was one of those gremlins that it's like, oh, I swear it does it. And then it didn't do it when it was in the shop. But it worked beautifully the other day. It sounded great for this track I was cutting with the Martin D28. So I was doing that this week. Another thing that I got going this week, it's kind of cool, was on my new smaller sort of 3/4 size pedal board, which I did a video for a couple of years ago, I decided I would try and put a VP4 on there for the post effects. And I did it with no mixer this time. So, I've got the parallel mixer on my big board for a couple different reasons. I just decided, well, okay, we're not going to do that. It adds an extra layer of complexity. This board is supposed to be simpler. Let's just go with the VP4, because with the VP4 is the Line 6, multi-effect that you can use in 4-cable method if you want, or you can use it just as a, a post sort of stereo device, which is what I'm doing, split the stereo with it. But anyways, it allows you to run a parallel path through it, even though it's technically going through A to D conversion and stuff like that. It's not truly analog dry through or anything like that, but it's got really fast converters and all that. And in practice, it's working great. It's doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which is just be a simpler alternative to my main pedal board when it comes to programming. My main board, which I just used out on Satriani tour and I've used for the last number of years, Classic Rock Show and everything else, has the parallel mixer on it, parallelizer, which is great. And it's got an H90 and the SDE 3000 EVH delay. Awesome. All of it. Love it. But it is more complex to program, So anyways, this one has the Effects 10D on it, little switcher from Musicom Lab, smaller version. It's basically like a scaled down version of my my bigger board, but I am loving like the VP4, the sounds and the stereo delays and ambient reverbs and stuff that I was able to get going are really, really, really nice. And I'm really digging the Zelza, which is this underrated pedal from Strymon that I've got on that board. I don't see anybody else with one. It's maybe, just like, what is it? The Zelza. It's like nobody knows what that is just from the name. Maybe it was misnamed or something. Maybe the argument could be made. But it's basically a great phaser, flanger, and chorus. That's can store presets up to 300 presets you can store in the thing. You just hit it with MIDI and it remembers. You put it in like a MIDI sort of learn mode, send it a program change when it's in this certain mode, and whenever you hit it with that program change, it stores that that sound. So you want a certain phaser sound, certain chorus. I mean, how many do really all of us need? I probably need 3 or 4 different phaser sounds, and slow, fast, in the middle, maybe a 6-stage or something, and then mainly like 4-stage phase 90. Couple different style choruses, 1 or 2 different flangers, and that's it. So I'll probably make like 10 presets in the thing, and that's it. But I've already got some great sounds coming out of it. It just sounds really good. Yeah, it just works really good. So the Zelza, underrated mod pedal from Strymon, that is maybe people don't know what it is, but yeah. Somebody said your hair dye looks lighter in color. It's not. This is my natural hair, man. I mean, I haven't put anything in this for. I do that sometimes because I usually like it darker than it is. But this is the way my hair looks. I mean, nothing's touched this for 6 or 8 months at least, something like that. So it's just weird right now. It's strange. It's like got all those different layers of like, I don't know why. Like it's like, just looks the way it does. But the sun's on me right now, so that's probably what you're seeing compared to when I'm usually indoors. This is it. Yeah, lots of light in the room, says Paul. That's all it is. Yeah, it's and this is like I'm going. I got grays up there, I do, but I'm lucky, man. Like I'm late in the game here for not getting that much gray hair. All right, let's see here. I can't seem to scroll through the chat. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm right at the bottom. I see super chat there from Dave. Says rock on, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, hope you don't mind me doing this here today with just me and Toby the cat chilling out. Just look at him. Toby, okay, you're just going to nap because that's boring for the nice folks on the internet. That's what he does all the time. I think you do something more exciting. Pay your way around here. Okay, so I had a thought. I did that live stream maybe a week and a half ago now, where I was talking about, it was in answer to a video, basically where there was a lot of questions. I thought this deserves its own live stream video. And the video was called Touring in Gear. Is that what I called it? Touring in Gear or something, the reality of, because I was explaining why I had so much rented stuff on the 5 for Fighting tour. But anyway, the good thing about the video, I think, is that it had a theme. And I was sort of wondering if maybe I should approach these Sunday lives sometimes like that, like a loose theme once in a while. And maybe, because the video has more views than any of my recent live streams. And I get it. These can be meandering and we go all over the place and we just have fun here and talk. But maybe if there was a targeted theme, loosely, I don't know. What's on the horizon for modern guitar speakers, or like new ones that have come out, or I don't know, tubes, or like I'm just thinking off the top of my head, favorite compressor pedals, like a loose theme that we talk about for maybe 15-20 minutes, something like that, and then move on from there, that sort of thing. Maybe you guys have ideas for that. I don't know. I just thought it might help to keep this going, because we've been doing this is show number 379, I think. So the air conditioner just kicked on. It's pretty loud. Let me know if it's annoying. I could turn it off. But if it's not annoying, I'm not going to turn it off. What else are you guys talking about here? Let's see. That's it. Let me know what you think about that. Just an idea. Let's see. Still trying to get the Boss SD 3000 EVH. I just don't have the money at the moment. It is expensive, but it's kind of, you get what you pay for. It is two SDE 3000s in a pedal, and it's pretty killer, man. Like for what it is, it's it just has a sound. I don't know. It's got a certain sound that's really great. It just does it. So Lauren's asking about the Shure Nextdyne mic. And sorry, Lauren, I haven't checked out your tune yet. I got to check it out. I got your text the other day. It's just been like, I've just been on planes and everything. I don't like to listen to music on my phone or something. So when you texted me, Lauren wrote a song that he wanted me to listen to. I was out and about and somewhere, and I'm not enough in front of me. Like, I haven't been in the studio enough, just sitting in front of the computer, because I want to listen on monitors. So, I like to not, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause we always listen these days through like laptop speakers or the phone, or like, it's like not a great, it's no way to get a first impression of something. It doesn't do the amount of work that people put into their music and stuff justice, does it? If we're just listening on these crappy things. But yeah. Did you see you were in the video montage at the end of the That Pedal Show 10-year episode? I didn't. That's cool. Those guys do such a great job. I had fun visiting them in England a couple of years ago now, I guess. We've met Toby. We need a Toby 100 t-shirt. I guess you guys probably seen him at my place when he was hanging at my place, but he wasn't this, crashed out, because this has got a special. Let's just look at him one more time. Sorry, just over to the cat one more time. Is it Toby? Toby, are you asleep? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to disturb. Look at what a mess. Looks like a stray. Looks like something we just picked up off the street. Right, Toby? He doesn't care what I think. My Burbank Airport Starbucks coffee. All right. Heading back through the chat here to look at some comments, and let's get something topical going here. What are you guys talking about? You guys are talking about bands. Johnny's talking about learning from Ben Eller. Ben's great. He's a great resource. Should be getting those residual checks from the chords I now know. I'm just going to turn off the AC here, because it probably is making it harder to hear me, and it's cold as hell sitting right here. Okay. Let's see. Giant was a rock band formed in 1988 by the Huff brothers, Dan and David. Of course, Dan Huff went on to fame and fortune in Nashville. Moved out that way. Terrific guitar player. Yep. Okay. There's a super chat from somebody. I'm going to grab that and start from there. Looking for a smaller flexi kind of thing, maybe at a good 112. Flexi, I almost think of the Flexi 50, which was an amplifier that I still own and have, that you guys have never even seen. I mean, this was like pre-YouTube. I had that thing, and I still have it. And it was a pretty good sounding amp. I should bust it out and try it. It's a, I know that's probably not what you meant, but you just meant flexible. But the Flexi 50, THD amplifier from the turn of the century, sometime around the year 2000, I would say. 2001, maybe 2002, it came out. Kind of, I guess, meant to sound martially, but it had the ability to use any type of power tube. So you could put 6L6s, EL34s. I even tried I got this really rare set of Muller DL37s. Pop those in there. You can put anything in it, and it'll work. So kind of an interesting amplifier, but I know that's not what you meant. So you're saying a versatile amp with a 112, PT15, SL15, SV20, or bigger. Maybe you meant Plexi and you just typed F by accident, or it like corrected by accident. That could be. The Goldfinger, there's one that I haven't heard of for a while. There was a pretty good sounding amplifier, the 45 watt version. There was I think an 82. It was a Bogner thingy. If it is Plexi indeed that you're looking for, out of all of these, my favorite, I would say, is the SL15, which John did a beautiful job on. It's got a it sounds like the big ones. It sounds like a great plexi in a tiny amp. I put out that one little video for it, but I think that kind of tells the tale. I had to go on tour, I remember, last year, and I only had time to knock out like a couple hours to put something together. Just had the amp for a couple hours, and then I had to leave the following day or something on tour. So I made that little video that has like 4 or 5 sound examples in it. But there it is. I mean, you can hear it. I played some ZZ Top through it and stuff like that. Maybe a little Van Halen stuff or something. It's a really, really good sounding amp. And with the post phase inverter master, it just sounds killer. You know, you can get all kinds of different tones out of it, and all kinds of different any volume level. SV20 is a good little amp. I mean, the Marshall, there's nothing wrong with them. You know, it's just the SL15 with a post phase inverter master, and then some of the switches and stuff is quite a bit more versatile, I would say. And you know, it's built like a tank too. If you open them up, there's a difference. But the sound is good on the SV20. It is nice sounding amplifier. I was impressed with them. You know, Dirty Shirley's great. It's not really a plexi to me. I mean, it's got its own thing. It's more it's a specific. When I think of the Dirty Shirley, I think it was a specific sound. It's a great for Zeppelin, and it's certainly Marshall-y, you know, but it's kind of darker, and it's not dark. It's just darker. It doesn't have the bright cap Marshall. You know, like you could do Malcolm with it. I wouldn't probably say it'd be my first choice for Angus. You know what I mean? Like that kind of just aggressive, snarly thing. You're gonna want that a little bit more of that, you know, mean Marshall thing. It's more like a smoother Marshall, but really good sounding. You know, Dirty Shirley. It's a good sounding amp, and it can sound great clean too. Like with the master up 3/4 of the way, and then just bring the gain up to like 2. And I like what they do with pedals and stuff like that for clean. So, yeah, on a good 112, you're asking for opinions. I like the one that we have, the Surcab. It's great. It's big sounding for what it is. You know, that said, I never feel like I can get everything I want out of a 112. 2 112s works for me with 5 for Fighting. That's cool, but I don't play heavily. I generally find if I play with high distortion through a 112 and kind of like rock volume, they sound boxy. I just can't get away from that. I've never found one that didn't. You know, maybe there's those like Mesa wide body ones or something, or like a different, like an oversize, or maybe like an open back, like the oval open back, maybe Carry Wright or something like that. You know, those types. Maybe bigger, but I always just feel like I'm limited by the one speaker and the boxing and stuff. Anytime I try them with a band, I feel like they're kind of smaller sounding. It's fine if you're not, you know, if you're playing lighter and you're not playing. I just find for Marshall-y, you know, you want to sound like a plexi through a 112. I feel like I need a 212 at least. So that's just me. But yeah, 2 112s. Yeah, for 2 112s, I'd use that with when I want to do a stereo split on a smaller rig with 5 for Fighting, and that works great for that. But I'm not playing any heavy distortion ever. You know, it's always the boxy thing comes because I'm used to the sound of a 412 and the way that it thumps with, you know, that's I guess what it is like, and then when you don't have that, it's like, oh, it just sounds like sort of more mid-rangey and smaller and this more compact sound, like the cabinet. For me, a lot of times cabinets go hand in hand with amps, like, you know, Marshall 50 or 100 or that sound, plexi, whatever, and I gotta have the, you know, Greenback or H30 loaded 412 or whatever to really truly be happy. Or I'm just always feeling like it's a compromise. But the PT 15 sounds great through its 112. I mean, the series of ports in it. The Bogner made years ago this 112 that sounded really big for what it was, because it's quite small, really. That sounded really good, and the Sur is pretty big sounding too because of the ports. It's a ported design. The Bogner was rear mounted, speaker rear mount, and the Surs are front mounted, which can affect sort of the the way that it is perceived. Yeah, ported Bogner 112. The Bogner 112 kind of does like I've recorded a lot with it. That was the cabinet that I made a lot of Guitar Nerd with. The ported Bogner 112 with the rear mounted speaker, because it kind of has a 412 thing when it's in the, and I could fit it in my little condo at my little apartment, and pack it away in a closet, put a mic on it. It sounded pretty legit. So yeah. What else are we talking about here? Let's see. Tom says, I had to move a bunch of stuff the last few days. 412 cabs are heavy. Not used one in a while. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, you take up space, and then try and take them on the road. It's just then you need a road case for every one. You take two, you need two road cases. I actually own 3 412 road cases, and I could probably use another one because of my gear that's split all over the place right now in different countries. Like, I want to buy another 412 road case. Like, I want a hole in the head. You know what I mean? Just like, as I get older, it's like you gotta start getting rid of some of this stuff. It just ends up taking up so much space. But anyways, yeah. There's Eric says Bogner 112 Cube is legit. Yeah, I really like it. It's good. Yeah. Brian May used lots of small. Yeah, I mean, for a Voxy thing or the Brian May thing, it can work because his tone was so mid-range centric anyway, But it's just not going to do that big 412 thump thing, It's a different sound. I love Brian May because he made his thing work, I mean, he was heavily distorted a lot of the time, and AC30s, and it was just like the greatest thing ever. It was like, well, and he kind of just owned that, didn't he? It's like the Rangemaster AC30 thing. Talk about a guy with his own sound that he kind of appropriated from Roy Gallagher, and he'll admit that. What do you think about some of the budget modelers now that can load NAM profiles? I haven't messed with them that much, so I don't know that much about it, to be honest. The new X is good. I did a review, I think, of the MG30. I mean, they make great stuff. There's some good stuff. That Dave Friedman is always raving about the Hotone stuff, and I have one at the shop now that I have to try at my studio. Hotone that I got to give a go, but he loves it. It's just a really sort of intuitive device. It's easy to use and intuitive to use, I should say. So I don't know if it has the NAM modeling thing. I don't think so. I think it does capturing, much like I think Michael Nielsen made a video on the capturing with it, and it kind of like a quad cortex does and stuff. So look at that too. There's Joe. Emailed you some pics of my studio and my dogs. Hope it's okay. I'll check them out. Great to see your cat. Britta has good taste. Nice looking place. She's very neat and organized, and everything is in its place. It's a good little place she's got here. Yep. 100%. She was great last night. I gotta say, I mean, it's like, I didn't grow up listening to Ashley Simpson, you know what I mean? But I went back and listened because Britt was learning the material. And a lot of it was written by my buddy John Shanks, with her. And it has that early I forgot that a lot of like pop music back then was guitar rock driven. That was the sound. Nowadays, it's like hard to find a guitar or it's a clean guitar and that kind of pop thing that, became so popular. But back then it was like distorted, guitar. So her record, like a lot of, there's 2 guitar players in the band, keyboard player, bass, drums. And I gotta say, man, she hasn't done anything live for a long, long time because she's just been out of the limelight. She's got a family, she's got kids, she's doing that thing. But she decided she wanted to come back and play some shows. She's doing this residency. I was kind of knocked out last night. It was only the second show, and I don't think she's gigged in like over a decade. And I was like, she's a pro. Like, she just kind of like it felt like a really comfortable, like a band that had been on the road for 6 months already. It was weird. Like, I was like, it's weird. I told them that afterwards. Like, it was weirdly all together. I go, how can it be this together? Because they've only done like, a couple weeks of rehearsals and then one production rehearsal in Vegas, and then they did this show last night. It was great. Like really good playing from everybody. They've got a great band. Bass players great. Guitar players are great. My friend Lisa, who plays with Gwen Stefani and with Willow Smith, and she's playing guitar, and she friggin' killed it last night. Like, she's a really good guitar player, really great rhythm, great on stage, moving all over the place, like, and just super solid solos and everything, like, super legit. And Britt was awesome, killed it on the drums. So, anyways, I was impressed. Yeah, I was. Okay, who else we got here? Let's see. Paul's here. We got Mark. We got My Knees Hurt, of course. There's Tom again. Oh, did I miss cat pictures? Well, I can show you the guy. I kind of want to just pick him up, wake him up. We'll just go over and say hi. Hey, buddy. Say hi to the world of the internet. Yeah. There you go. He's loving the sun. Aren't you? It's good to see you, Toby. Sorry. I gotta put the cat's chin. Ooh, buddy. Yes. He's such a good boy. Look at him right now. Crazy. Anyways. All right. That's enough of that. Sorry. I'm gonna lose viewers here. This isn't called Sunday Cat Live. Guitars are set up for standard tuning with 9.5 to 44. If I detune a half step, should I increase string gauge to compensate for intonation? Intonation, generally speaking, when you change a gauge, you do have to re-intonate. That's generally like if you go from 9s to 9.5s or 9.5s to 10s or whatever, it's best to check the intonation. For whatever reason, it changes generally. But if you're only detuning a half step and you got 9.5s, I mean, if you like the way they feel, don't worry about it. Just you might have to make a little truss rod adjustment depending on the guitar. If you detune, you might get a little bit more. The neck will pull out a little bit. You might have to loosen the rod a hair. Maybe not though. It just depends on the guitar. So if I was, I'm pretty comfortable these days doing things like that without worrying about the feel. Like, oh, I'm in E flat now and the strings feel slinkier. I just am used to playing guitars in different tunings and adjusting the. It takes a couple minutes. You're not overbending or whatever, but I wouldn't worry about it that much, to be honest. So, ease up. There he is. He doesn't really like being held, but we're going to do it anyway. That's my boy. Beat it. All right. Super chat there. Let's grab that. Have you tried the Friedman Runt 50? I have. I've heard it numerous times. Wonder what voice it has in the Friedman lineup. It's basically like a BE style drive channel, and then a fairly American style clean, honestly. So that's it, and it's a really, really good amp, I think, for I think I think doesn't Billy from the Cult play one quite a bit. It's it's basically a great option if you're looking at something like a small box. You also might want to consider the Runt 50 because the small box has like the plexi clean and then the more sort of BE style clean or dirty channel. But I think a lot of guys want a little more like a clean, that sort of architecture or whatever. And I think that the run is designed to do that, so maybe with pedals and stuff, it might be a little more, if you want, if you're in a band that plays some country and some pop and stuff like that, but you also want like a, pretty slam and drive channel, good option, so that's what I would say in the Friedman lineup. Simple 2-channel, but with a more sort of clean than maybe like the not that you can set up the small box to have a clean, but it's a Marshall-y clean, because it's basically a plexi on that channel. It's just got a master. It's a plexi with a master is what it is. Braxall says, how long you home? Well, a couple more weeks. So yeah. Can you tell a story about how CC gifted you the Martin guitar? Oh, I don't know if it was for anything particular, like he was just being nice. I had asked, the deal is that I had asked Chris for this like, could I buy a Martin through you? Because I know that you have a relationship with them, because I didn't at the time. So I said, I know you've got a guy at Martin. Would it be possible that you could hook me up with them and maybe I could? And he's like, sure, yeah, of course. And it was just like that. That's all. I brought that up to him, because I was like, I really like your D28. And he had this nice D28. And he said that he would help me. And it was 3 years later that he gave me a call and said, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, I was just in my studio, and the studio was in Santa Monica at the time. And he said, come over, I've got something here I want to show you. And I was like, okay, because I wasn't doing much or super busy that day. So I drove over to his place, and he was out front of his house playing basketball with his son. And he goes, oh, just a second. He runs inside and he grabs this case, hands it to me. He goes, here, this is for you. That was it, And I was like, man, I don't know what to say. Like, why, did you, that's so kind. I didn't know what. One of the nicest things anybody's ever given me is it's a beautiful D28 marquee edition or something. It's like a really great guitar. And he just said, you're always there to help me out. And whenever, he said, it's just something I wanted. He was almost kind of sheepish about it, like sort of shy about it. He said, I just wanted to do something for you, So that's it. And I was like, it was so cool. So that's it. And I've had it ever since. And terrific guitar. So Eston says, what a great cat. He really is. He's right at my feet right now. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good dude. Come see Eston. Come see him. Yeah. He's a good boy. Aren't you? Huh? He's a good dude. Super chill. Okay, see ya. Sheds like crazy. Just fur balls all the time around here. All right. Let's see what else we got here. There's Jim's got a Hotone Ampero Mini. Does not have a firmware update yet for the ability to load NAM profiles. I don't know about that. I know that the bigger one has the capture feature, I think, right? So, yeah. I want you to know I always watch every video. Thank you. Sometimes I don't catch them live, but thanks, man, for watching. I appreciate you, Jason. Appreciate you saying as well. I do. Earl's asking if I've ever met Andrew Sinowick. I don't think I have. And I'm sorry if I have, Andrew, if you're out there. I did a recent interview with him. He's the new hot dog studio player in town. Yeah, a lot of people talk about him. My buddy John Button, and he's very, yeah. Let's see here. If you watch Hendrix Woodstock, his saddles are actually still intonated for a right-hand player. Is that right? Really? That's really interesting. Man, he strikes me as a guy kind of like Jeff, that like Jeff Beck, that I've been to see Jeff Beck numerous times, and one thing I noticed is that he never seemed to tune. That it almost like it's almost surreal. Jeff never really played chords that much, so it's almost like the single. I sort of like, this is just a philosophy of mine, but it's almost like the guitar maybe being a little bit out of tune because you would use the bar so much was maybe cool for him, because it's like almost like a human voice, where then he'd have to bend into the note, because so much of his thing was the note always moving, hitting the note and then it kind of bending and moving around he was a master obviously at finding the pitch, and manipulating that. But it is so much of what I think that we love about Jeff Beck is his ability to make the guitar sort of sing like a human voice, so it's almost like, it doesn't matter, like, if the guitar was perfectly in tune, because he played it completely differently than, So that cat is a new YouTube sensation. He's so cool. He's just sitting down here now, chilling. He's not really like a lap cat. Like, he won't cuddle up on me and like lie in right here or anything like that. But he likes to lie right by you, like hang out by your feet or whatever, and just be, he's sort of like got his own way of chilling around people. It's just, he's not the cat that's gonna like come sleep on your head or something, Yeah. I'd love to hear the CC Martin story as well. Well, that was it. Yeah. 2000 to 2018 era, best D28s ever, you think, Eric? Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful guitar. Really terrific. It sounded great the other day. I just put strings on it. I haven't played it for a while, to be honest, and needed some strings. So I put fresh strings on it and cut apart with it. And it's like, that sounds amazing. With that microphone, the MA200, it just sounded beautiful. Mojave mic I was doing a session with this week. Okay. Let's see here. What else we got here? Twin Sister, which is basically like a Dirty Shirley with 2 channels, with Friedman 212 and V30s. I agree with what you said. It's its own thing. With the 212 and V30s, it can sound pretty bitey, and add a Buxom boost and get a tad more towards plexi. That's cool. Yeah, I like I think it's a really, really good amp, and I think it's a good amp for certain players. I know my friend, my old buddy Frank Symes, really gravitated towards it. And when I think about his approach and tone and stuff, totally makes sense. Like that amp for him, kind of like great for doing like a Zeppelin-y stuff, Zeppelin-y drive that's more like just that medium breakup Marshall-y thing, Yeah, that thing. If you were like wanting more of a super bass kind of, less bitey, more just big sort of neutral, full single note thing, that's the one in the Friedman, and still ability to get pretty damn gainy. That's the one in the Friedman line, I think, then to go for. Yeah. Paul says Chris did all the rhythm guitars on Super Unknown. What a master. Then the vocals on top. Yeah, a lot of people, when they think, it's. I mean, I'm sure Kim would tell you. I think it's Kim. A lot of those parts are Chris a lot of the time. So that's not good. And we're back. Sorry about that. I do show low, like, connection is unstable, it says. I don't know why. I got full connection here, but hopefully that won't happen again. All right. Anyways, what else we got here? Moving through the chat. What about an updated stream about dialing in your amp? Sure, like mine in particular, like PT or like any amp. That's a good idea for a topic, for sure. I was talking, for those that have joined just recently, about maybe making a topic that is sort of loosely what we would start talking about with these live streams, just to kind of focus it for at least the first half hour or something. Like, yeah, dialing in an amp, or I was saying, like, I don't know, like modern, new guitar speakers that have been released, or just a different. It lends another layer of complexity to the thing, where I've got to think of topics then. But if we come up with a list, then it's no big deal, and it'll just steer the conversation for the first little while. And I thought it might be more interesting, maybe get more views too. These always get 4,000 to 5,000 views every week. And I've got so many loyal folks that show up here, but it just made me think, which I totally appreciate, but it just made me think when I did the one on the reality of touring and gear, which has about 20,000 views or something like that. I thought, oh, people liked the live stream that had a focused topic. So not that we have to change the format here, but I just thought it might be cool to just have something to riff on for a little bit at the beginning of each show, and then take off from there. We can talk about anything. Just an idea. Marshall 1965 410 cab is the Shiznit. I used to have one of those. I had the little guy that was made in the 80s that went with the MOSFET 100 head, but that's what it was, the 1965. Yeah, I had a slant one. Yeah, I think they made them back in the day though, right? Like 410 back in like you can get vintage ones. Yeah. What else we got here? You are fearless. You can hang with Mateus Sato and Tim Pierce. I don't know about that. I don't know if I did. Mateus is an amazing guitar player. He's got his own thing. Tim, he's a legend. I mean, he's incredible, and I learned so much hanging out with him, and I miss him. I miss hanging out with him and doing our show that we used to do. I'd love to do more. Yeah. He's just he doesn't need the Tim and Pete show, that's for sure. He's got his own thing that's, he does great with his style of YouTube. That he does has worked out really well for him. So, but I just miss him as a buddy. Jeff Beck and Alan Holdsworth both did that upwards trim arm thing. Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, Jeff, it sounded like one part slide and one part human voice or something. So, yeah. Dennis says, Japan up next. Pete, yeah, I'm 99% sure. I'm just waiting for something to come through, and then I'll have confirmation. So, but yeah, that's the plan. Which is off on another adventure. Did anybody see that Ibanez is bringing back the RG 540? Is that like the old, the sort of look like a less expensive gem, basically? The 540, I think so, right? It was the guitar that kind of like everybody had if they wanted an Ibanez gem, but they couldn't afford that one, and they got the simpler, yeah. Is the Rockman the ultimate clean guitar sound? Well, I mean, there can be no right or wrong answer to that. It was great for some things. I love the Rockman. I mean, it's a total sound that it works for that kind of hyper compressed, just very DI thing is the right sound sometimes. A lot of Pink Floyd and stuff. I mean, DI guitars. It's like the Rockman just made it easy, I guess, because you could plug in and it kind of pre-EQ'd your sound and gave you this compressor and a chorus if you wanted. And so it was just a one-stop shop. Whereas if you plug the DI into a console and then then you ran through an 1176 and a Dimension D or something in the studio, then you could get probably arguably better, or whatever. What is better? Rockman was cool. No doubt about it. And so on a million records. Okay. Son of Pyro says, I kind of hear a bit of appetite for destruction sometimes with the Dirty Shirley. That's interesting. I don't really think of it like that, because to me, appetite, especially if you listen to Slash's parts soloed, are so aggressively kind of upper mid Marshall, like they got a lot of mid range going on. In a very cool way, it's its own thing that made that record work. That modded amp that he got from SIR, bit of a mystery. Extra treats from Mr. Super Chill Toby. Thanks, Eston. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, you guys, for the super chats. Ooh, I'm toasty. I was saying, for those that just joining, I only had like 3.5 hours of sleep. I went to bed at 3 a.m. and then I got up at 6:45. And I woke up at 6 because I always wake up before the alarm, no matter how, you know what I mean? It's like this anxiety gets me. It's like maybe your alarm didn't go off. You wake up and look, and you still got 45 minutes to go. But then you're kind of up, and you're like, maybe fall back asleep again. It's one of those. Tell us about the delays Satch used on the tour. Well, from night to night, he was changing up what he was doing a little bit, but for a while he was using the Fender Tone Master Modeler dealio for effects only. And then towards later in the end of the tour, I think he just wanted something simpler, and he went to I believe it's a Boss. I think it was a DD8 that he was just running in the loop of the third power amplifier. And he just had it like on top of the amp, and he could go back and kind of manipulate the mix knob if he wanted more or less. It was about as simple as it gets. And he likes that, I think. He's a real tone in the volume knob guy. He's always manipulating the volume control, which I didn't realize he did a lot, but he does. He's always up and down on the volume control on his guitar, and has a lot of gain, on tap, and then maybe doesn't use 100% of it except for when he's full-blown soloing, So pretty interesting. Old school. Yep. I miss that guy, I do. And I miss Steve. I miss everybody in the band, Marco and Kenny. When I watch videos now, I'm like, that happened. Anyway, should be some more news about that soon. Yep. Exciting stuff. Okay. I like that idea, Son of Power says, for a discussion topic. Yeah. Keely Manis. I have to make a video for that over the next couple of weeks. I have one in my studio, so that's going to happen. I promised them I would get that done, and I'm going to do it. Do you think fewer kids will learn a guitar now that you can make music with AI? I don't think the kind of kids that would be interested in guitar are the same kind of kids that would be interested in making music with AI. I think AI turns a lot of people off, including kids. I think that it's almost like when it came out and the songs, like the novelty of it, it's like, holy hell, like look at this crazy stuff you could do with this. I mean, I can ask ChatGPT to write me a country song about you guys, plug in your names, and it would come up with a great country song with, lyrics about Ben and more guitars and everybody that frequents here. But it's amusing for a minute, and like any songs that I've ever heard that are AI songs, they're always like in the context, generally speaking, of some joke that somebody's, write me a song about blah, 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 and what a moron they are. And then, you listen to the song, you listen to it once, and it's kind of funny. And I can generally tell it's AI. It was funny. Joe Satriani actually brought up, he's like, we spent all this time worried about tone and like how, what cables we use and stuff. He goes, AI, where's the sound coming from? What's making the guitar sound? Like, what makes the sound? I thought, yeah, that is weird. Like, it's just so strange. But anyway, I just think that the kind of kids that, there's certain kind of kids that will want to mess around with that stuff and want to sort of lowest common denominator it and be like, isn't this great? Look what I did. And then there's the kids that like are, it's kind of like what Steve Vai was talking about in an interview recently, where he was talking about getting addicted to practicing. Like he loved just spending as much time as possible playing the guitar. That's just a thing that is, we can't explain why, but I mean, I really like working on the guitar too. I like working on language. I like working on different things where I like to sit there and, I could just use the translator on my phone though. That's an AI thing when I go to foreign countries. And isn't this amazing? I can talk into it and you can talk into it. And I know exactly what you said, but I really actually like the nuts and bolts of like learning the language and being able to speak it and think it and everything like that. So I think those are just human qualities that won't, just because AI exists. In other words, I think some people will tend towards using it more than others just because of their pre-wired personality type. I've got nothing other than anecdotal, to back that up. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like you can have two, even within the same family. I mean, people can have two kids and they can be so vastly different with their interests and their ability to focus on things and or where they put their focus and you can have, it's just kind of fascinating. So, yeah. All right. What else we got here? Let's see. BV says Andrew is a friend. He's been a session player in LA for years, as well as gig and musician. I realized Tim did a recent vid, but Andrew's not new. No, I've heard about him for years. I think I saw him play actually once in Highland Park at a gig. Now that I think about it, kind of almost like a improv jazz sort of thing where they were just sort of going off and coming up with stuff. I think that was Andrew playing guitar. That's a 3 years ago now or something. But John Button always talks about him. Yeah. Chris says I saw a Satriani video where all three of you soloed and yours was my favorite. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I kind of I mean, it was like when they were like, "Oh, let's trade here. Like, let's go around and each, Pete, you take a solo too." And I was like, "Okay, if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna put a little time and thought into what I'm gonna play." And I actually sort of came up with a loose framework of what I would do, because it's like those guys, they live on the edge of like, and they solo so much throughout the set. By the way, I'm gonna show you. There's Chi-Chi. Oh, he's running away. Bye, Chi-Chi. See ya. He's scared of everything. He's got 5 names. His name isn't really Chi-Chi. It's Mochi. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, those guys, they live on that hairy edge of like constant improv and stuff like that all the time, which is amazing, But I thought, okay, the few choice moments they gave me, which was awesome that they did that in the set where I could, blow some lead. I thought I better make it good. So let's come up with a bit of a framework and not just wing it every night, So I did have a bit of a, I put some time and thought into like, what's an arc for this part, It just made me comfortable in the moment. It's just the matter of like, I sort of was being nice to myself. Like, what's going to make me feel good in the moment? Because I know I got to play with these guys and that we're going to take solos. And that's, if you start overthinking that, it's like, that's a pretty tall order with 2 of your heroes standing right there. So, but they were both so supportive and nice and just the coolest, Like I said, I still can't believe that stuff happened. It's like crazy for me. Mind-blowing to be able to get up there every night and go, that's Steve Vai and Joe Satriani right there. They're right there. That's an honor. Honor of a lifetime. Truly. Holdsworth was an amazing person. Met him years ago in the 80s, small bar in Detroit. That's cool. I heard he was a terrific guy, I never got to meet him. I saw him only one time. And it was under less than ideal circumstances, and it was right before he passed away. 2 weeks maybe before he died. I saw him at a club in Venice Beach. And it was packed and really low ceiling. It was very difficult to see him. And to be honest, I just didn't really enjoy myself that much because it was so hot and packed that I couldn't really get, it's like, you want to be able to see their hands and see what they're doing. And it wasn't like that. So I feel almost guilty about it now that I was, not right at the front watching, like should have gotten there like 3 hours early and all that, like a super fan, Yeah. Okay. Super chat there from T-Top. First live I've caught in a while. Jez Walton is an old friend of mine. Great to see he was out with you on Satch Vi. He was fantastic, man. Like really great at his job. Just a terrific sound guy. So, yeah, awesome dude. Thank you for that super chat, T-Top. Appreciate that. Say hi to him for me. He was great. I miss him. Steve Stevens used a Rockman for his clean stuff on Flesh for Fantasy. That's true. I think with 2 compressors. Maybe one before it and one after. Or maybe the Rockman compressor and then an extra studio compressor. Maybe that's what he did. I remember him telling me, but I can't remember exactly what he said he did. I did a video for the Dimension D or C Boss pedal, Waza version, and I played Flesh for Fantasy in that. and did my best Steve Stevens, trying to get that sound. Yeah. Is there a reason? This actually isn't the case at all. This is how rumors get started. Is there a reason you don't like the Fender Princeton Reverb? I love the Princeton Reverb. It's actually one of my favorite Fender amplifiers. I think they're great. I mean, for at home or studio or even small gigs, you know, they're just beautiful. They sound great with pedals. You don't really need to plug a pedal into it, though. You can just plug into a Fender Princeton Reverb and get lost in the nice tone, the reverb and the tremolo, and set it for a nice vibey sound with a guitar at a reasonable volume and enjoy yourself. I think they're a great amp. I love Princeton's and I love the Deluxe too. Yep. Todd's right. He has a Princeton in his studio. I do. I don't play through it that much. It's underneath my desk. And it's just for no other reason than I'm always working on different things and playing through heads. And, you know, like I'm never just sitting in there, unfortunately, probably playing for enjoyment that much in that room. I'm generally getting to work when I'm in there. So I should maybe take the amp home, you know, use it like sitting by the couch, just a really low volume or something. Yeah. When you're playing through amp with a 112, 212, or 412 speakers, is it also good to mic your speakers if you have a mixer? Okay. When you're playing through an amp with a 112, a 212, or 412, is it also good to mic your speakers if you have a mixer and PA for better overall tone? Yeah. I mean, you want to be in the PA. You know, even at smaller gigs, I find like, well, it depends on the size of the gig, but it's like if you're yeah, here's the thing. It's like a 412 or certainly a 112 too. They can be very beamy and only focus like the tone in one, like they don't really spread around the room, right? So, you know, open back cabinet, different story. You know, if you got a Fender twin reverb or the aforementioned, you know, a Deluxe or something, and it's a very small place that you're playing, yeah, you might not need to mic the amp, you know. But if you're playing a room for, say, 100 people or 200 people or anything more than that, you're going to want to mic your amp and have it in the PA at least somewhat so that you're represented that way in the PA, not represented by your, you know, 412 cabinet bouncing off a back wall and somebody like, I can't hear the guitar, but the people right in front of your cab are like, I can hear nothing but the guitar. That whole thing is what you want to avoid, and get more of trying to play at a reasonable volume on stage if possible. Mic the amp, you know, have some sound coming out of that cabinet for sure. But I balance the sound around the acoustic drums is what I always say. Like, you know, however loud the drummer is with no mics or anything like that. Okay, now let's make the guitar amp and the bass amp that loud, kind of like a garage band back in the day, you know, and settle in around that. Now, mic everything, the guitar, you know, so maybe send a DI from the bass, and you know, put a mic at least on the kick and snare, maybe overheads and stuff too, and then fill it in the PA and use that for sound reinforcement. That's what they call it, sound reinforcement. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Got to go. See you, man. Take care. Take care, Pastor. See you in a couple hours at the amp panel. Oh, is that Dave's thing he does where they talk about amps? It's like amp tech nerds and they talk amps. Maybe I'll watch that. I like using delay in front of the amp to smear the image for alt rock. I mean, yeah, it can be a good thing. Delay in front of distortion is you know, it's usually better after distortion, except when it's not. Like in your case, when you want to get a little dirty. Friedman Jose review. I'm a little fuzzy on it. They say they want me to do it, but they say they don't really need it right now. So because the amp's already done so well. So which I understand. So yeah. Did anyone see Billy Corgan interviewing Billy Corgan with Steve Vai watching? He does. That would be my one. I know Billy a little bit. I made a record with Billy, and I feel like I would say the one thing I wish you would do, because he's a brilliant guy and he's a great musician. I got great respect for him. As an interviewer, I would say shorten the question and allow your subject to answer. You know, that would be my one criticism of him. Just you don't it's a little bit like I think Eddie Trunk does this a little bit too, where it's like, tell me about when you were in this band, because when I used to listen to that band, I used to think it was really great, and then he went on to make this other record with this other band, and that was cool too. You took on a bit more of this role and that, and he's like, it's like, dude, just go with the initial. Tell me about when you were in that band and what that was like. Like that's enough. Let your subject talk. Then I try and do this when I interview people. Like, know when to just back off and let them answer the question. You're going to get a more interesting interview, I feel like, if you I haven't seen the whole Steve interview with Billy, but Steve's got a lot of great insight and stories. We know this about him, right? He's an encyclopedia. So it's like, let him talk as much as possible, because it's going to be great if you do. So it's my only, Billy's like I say, he's a brilliant guy. But get out of your own way a little bit. Maybe on the interview show would be my only criticism. That's what I would suggest. Yeah. Not that he's looking for my criticism. He'd be like, shut up, Pete Thorn. Hey, Pete, if Satisfy tours the U.S., do you think you could get a pre-sale code for your viewers? I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. Tom Lind, what was that band Beata was talking about? Velvet Hot Dog or something that turned out to be AI. Oh, yeah. I like that name, actually. If it wasn't called Velvet Hot Dog, it should have been. Yeah, there was some band that some guy invented, this AI band, and it's like so stupid. I don't know. I have no interest in any of that stuff. So, I don't know. It's a little like, I feel like in the music business, like this isn't a big secret, but nobody really makes money selling music anymore anyway, for the most part. If you're Taylor Swift, maybe you do, but it's all about playing live anyway. And you can't replace that with AI unless you're doing that style of show, or it's a hologram show or something, or some kind of, and it's a totally different thing then. So I just feel like I'm not that concerned about it. I never really had a career selling music anyway, or whatever. So it was always all about playing live for me anyway. That was my, sessions. Toby, what are you doing? Look at this. Oh, it's not funny anymore. Really weird look on his face. Anyway, what was my point? My point was that it's like, you're almost making the album to just go on tour now anyway. And if that's the goal, to get out there and go on tour, play in front of people, travel around, have a career playing music, and have some fun, be out there on the road while you're at it. Well, you're not going to use AI, are you? You're going to write, or am I stupid? You're going to write the record, record it, then you're going to get out there and go on tour. And AI can't do that. AI can't be the Satriani band. So, the kind of folks that listen to the Satriani band wouldn't care about, some AI song guitarist, something. Yeah. Okay. AI has no soul. Yeah, I spot the pictures really easily now, the AI stuff and the AI videos and the, and it all just, I'm like, oh, that again. It just kind of gives me the creeps. And I know that's going to change, where it'll probably get to the point where it's indistinguishable and all that, but it hasn't yet. Like Jack White said in Mike It Loud, technology is a big destroyer of emotion and truth. That stuck with me. I do like the dichotomy, though, of when he says that, right after the Edge saying technology drives my creativity. Edge is showing how he came up with the part for Evolution or Evolution, whatever that U2 song is, and he turns off all the effects and he goes, this is what it sounds like with nothing. So he's like, yeah, I definitely use this stuff to drive my creativity. And then Jack White says, yeah, technology is the destroyer of, or whatever he says. I thought he said it was the enemy of creativity. Even Jack White, just to play devil's advocate, in years after, started recording with Pro Tools and stuff, because I think it was a conversation he had with Chris Rock, where he was talking about his, sort of purist approach to recording and analog and everything like that. And Chris Rock goes, dude, nobody cares how you do it. Like, nobody cares how your art is made. They just care about the song at the end of the day. Nobody cares about this stuff. And he went like, huh? Like maybe because it was coming from a guy he respected, you know. That's the story I heard anyway. And then he's kind of, you know, you sort of saw him start to play around with, you know, EVH guitars and like playing different stuff. Now he's got that cool Fender amp, and which isn't, you know, exactly modern tech or anything. It's pretty old school, but it's cool. I'm really big fan of Jack White. Like I think he's awesome, and the world's a better place with him in it and doing what he does. And if you've never been and you go to Detroit, make sure you go to the Third Man Records record pressing plant and store there. It's something to see. It's really cool. And he's got all his guitar pedals there that he's made, you know, collaborations with different companies over the years. And it's just cool. And what you can do, like printing a you know, a record there is amazing, or whatever, like, you know, whatever it's called, you know, the record pressing process or whatever, with the crazy colored vinyl and the stuff they're doing there. It's so cool. That's interesting to me, you know. Yeah. What guitar players would you want to share the stage with and jam that you haven't got to play with? Any guitar heroes you want? I mean, we kind of did it this year, you know, to be honest. I really, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, it's like guitar heroes that I want to play with. I mean, I've been fortunate enough and terrified, you know, at the same time to get to share the stage with, you know, Joe and Steve, but also guys like Tony McAlpine years ago. You know, that was crazy. You know, I did a whole tour with him, and we were the two guitar players in the Michel Polnareff band. And you know, I was like, what am I? You know, I grew up remembering seeing these guys in all the guitar magazines and hearing them growing up, and now I'm up here doing this stuff with them. But that's how it happens, I guess. You just find yourself there. It's kind of like you have to not think about it too much and just go into it and do your thing, you know. Well, I've got a voice on the guitar, so let's do it. I mean, I remember playing with Paul Gilbert once at a guitar show in Germany. There's probably video of this somewhere. I think it's the one that Billy Sheehan was doing as well, because I think I jammed with him twice, I think. But anyway, it was myself and maybe Chris Buck too at the same time. It was, you know, unbelievable. And we were all going to take a solo. We were playing, maybe it was, I don't remember what song we were doing, but it was vibey. I remember that. And I remember going, all right, when it comes around to me, I'm going to go full David Gilmour on this. Like, what would David Gilmour do? So I dialed up a Univibe sound with some echo and just played slow and soulful. And that's what I tried to do, because I thought, this is Paul Gilbert over here, you know, he's going to shred your ass into the ground. So what are you going to do? You're going to go the other way with it. You know, that's kind of what I did. And I just tried to do some soulful stuff. And I was happy with what I ended up playing, I think. I mean, I seem to remember it sounded good. So have you ever played with Alan Johannes? I haven't actually, but we know each other, and he's a wonderful musician. What a great guitarist and just musician in general. He's just a musical guy. But we know each other. You know, it's unfortunate the first time we met was at Chris's service after he'd passed away, but he came up to me and we gave each other a great big hug, and it's always good to see him. He's a super talented guy. Mad respect for what he's done. Yep. I got a house full of instruments and no kids. That kind of sounds like me, Tom. We have similar lives. Yeah. Would be cool if Sats used the Boss STD3, which would be close to his old DD2s. Do you mean STD3000? Or no, STE3. I don't know what, because when I think of DD2, it's super analog. SDE3, I don't know. That's a digital box. I don't know what you mean, and I'm so tired right now. I think I'm gonna go soon because I'm running on 3 hours sleep. But yeah. Let's see. All of our dogs have several nicknames, says Richard. Yeah, you got to call them 400 things. Toby is October. Toby 1. Toby 1 Kenobi. Shmeesh. Smanu. And then the two of them together is Smini. I don't know why, but yeah, that's just how it works. Yep. Okay. Bonsoir says, how are you? Do you say your name Nath? How do I pronounce your name properly? Because I'm going to screw it up. Is it Natalie in English? Probably right. I see in France that AI does not really help the youngsters nor the adults. It makes them more lazy, reduces their intellectual capacity and creativity. Very sad. It's a real concern. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Chat GPT or whatever is useful for some things, but it also makes mistakes and does these broad, like I asked Chat GPT for a birthday of a famous person the other day because we were having a debate. Like, is that person, they're already 40, right? And it said they're turning 40, and it gave an August birth date for this person. It doesn't even matter who it was, but and then I found out, no, they're already 40 and their birthday's in October and they're going to be 41 this year. That was like ChatGPT doing that. So people are trusting it with, like advice on, medications and, important things. Sorry, taking a swig of my coffee. And so it's a real concern, I think. It kind of evens things out. I've had another incident where it was like kind of just averaging out information that searched for on the internet and came up with some cockamamie result that wasn't true. No question I asked it. I don't know. What are you going to do? Crazy world we live in. What's your favorite song you like to play on guitar? Geez, that's a great question. I don't really have one. My favorite song that I've ever done, that is something that I've written that is out there, is my song Remember from Pete Thorn 2, because I feel like I really nailed it with the composition and the performance. And I love the arc. It's not a very long song, but it goes through a real, from quiet and ambient and moody all the way through to soaring at the end. And I was very happy with the way it turned out. So I set that bar for myself on when I do another record. I got to have a great closer, I feel like, all the time on the records. Like the last song is really important to me for some reason. But so that's I'll use that as a bigger, like, rather than just sitting playing a song. That's my favorite composition that I came up with on the guitar. I played it on I have this Mac Mull Telly style guitar that has P90s, and the clean part at the beginning is the Mac Mull. And when I heard that guitar for the first time, I was blown away with the two P90s in it and how sort of alive and vibrant and acoustic they sounded. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like the resonance of the whole guitar was coming through those pickups. Those pickups have like no potting. They're noisy as hell. Like as far as single coils go, they're just really loud. I guess it's to be expected with P90s. But for a clean sound, oh man, is it ever a gorgeous guitar for that kind of like, it's an electric guitar, but it's got this acoustic quality to it that with, the amount of tone that seems to come through the pickups, they're like microphones, those pickups. And you can hear that in the Remember track, I think. And I had it tuned into kind of a low C, I think, sort of tuning for the part that you hear. And it was a really difficult part to play. And it took me a while to practice it and get a take that I liked. I probably pieced together 2 takes to do the whole intro of that song. But I was really happy with the composition and the I don't know. I just like writing stuff like that. So, yeah. Yeah. What do you think of the EVH lunchbox amps? To be honest, I haven't really tried. I've tried a number of different EVH amps, but not the little lunchbox guys, the little 15 watters. But I've tried the 50 that I used on something. I had one, the big original, the 100 watt 5153, and I really liked the blue channel on that amp. It's cool. Okay. Yeah. Moving down through the chat. Jay Drift says, I met Holdsworth after a show in the early 90s. Incredibly humble and actually apologized for his performance. I've heard he used to be like that. Like, just, I'm sure he was absolutely mind-blowing. It's one of those things where you get a guy like that and they're going to hear things and, about their own playing and read into their own performance in ways that will just be like, you were amazing. They'll be like, I had the worst night ever. It's a weird thing, that whole thing, how we can be so, I learned to just not worry too much if you had a bad gig. I mean, unless it was catastrophic and everybody saw your, world falling apart musically or whatever. A lot of the times when we make mistakes live or something happens, it goes right over people's heads, and maybe it even sounds cool out front. Who knows, Yeah. Anybody know if the ported Bogner 112 is the same design as the closeback ported 112 Shiva? I don't know that, but I don't think the Shiva cabinet is the same as the Bogner Cube, what people call the Cube, right? It's really small, the little Bogner Cube. Smaller than my Sir 112s. Joe says, hope your weekend's great. Good to see you. Good to see you too. What other equipment do you have to review coming up? Something that I can't tell you about, but I've got this Keeley pedal to do too. That's a drive. So I'm going to do that. I've got a video coming out for the Ethos preamp called the Clean Fusion, I think it's called. No, that's not what it's called. Why did you come up with that? That was a pedal made by Wampler years ago. The Ethos, I can't remember. It's the long rectangular one that has kind of a dumbly overdrive and a deluxe reverb-like clean sound. For those that don't know, it's like a preamp pedal that's sort of almost like meant to be plugged in direct. Or you can run it into a power amp too, which I do in the video. But for somebody that wants a direct solution, or pedalboard based sort of preamp solution that they could run into a guitar cabinet or run right to a PA, it's pretty cool. So I've got that coming. I've got a video that I got to finish for a Crazy Tube Circuits pedal called the Venus, I think it's called. It's the overdrive. It's kind of meant to mimic the old tube driver, I do believe. I gotta finish that video. Just a couple other things that are coming. Yep. Okay. Looks like you're back home. Yeah, I was in Vegas last night and I decided to do the live stream. This is actually Britt's place. I came over here to feed the cats right after I got off the plane from Las Vegas this morning. I had 3 hours of sleep. I'm crusty right now. But so I decided to just stay here and hang with the cats and stuff and do it. Because it's like, to get in the car and everything was like, I can't right now. I think I need a nap first. So yeah. I don't know about the panther and the snake hanging behind me, actually. That's Brit's. So I don't know much about that, to be honest. I don't know the significance. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? I'm going to head down, grab the super chat. I'm missing a ton of comments here. Sorry about that. What's the best thing about EVH personality-wise since you kind of knew him? Was he mellow or stressed? He was the best thing I would say was his childlike, like he had a really good sense of humor and his sort of childlike honesty. Like, if he didn't like something, he'd just say it. He had no filter. But he was also really, really, really bright, and I would say, was he mellow or stressed? I don't really know that I could honestly say that I knew him well enough to answer those questions. I mean, I would sense stress in him, sure, sometimes, about various things. But also an acceptance of, I think what you saw in him, and this was certainly like the time, he accepted, for example, I think that like, hey, the fans want to see us with Dave. So we're going to do, that's what we're going to do, because that's what the fans, I want to go out and play. I'm having fun playing with Wolf. If we can go out and do this with Dave and people want to come see it, then let's go do that. I think that he just accepted that, that was the vibe that I got from him, for example. So mellow, I kind of mellow in that way, I saw him get, I'd say I saw him on the edge of anger at one point, and that was a little scary. But here's the thing with my relationship with Ed is that I realized that early on that, you know, things could go south with that relationship if I maybe, this is just me being honest about it, if I'd maybe said the wrong thing or, you know, challenged him in some way or so. I don't know. I mean, maybe not, you know, but it's like, I just sensed that it would be best for me if I kind of kept it all copacetic and didn't, do you know what I mean? Cause that would have broken my heart if ever there was like that rift or falling out or like something that I'd done that angered him or something that would have killed me because he's my hero, you know? So I always wanted to keep it good. So I kind of kept it, just being honest about this, I kind of kept it on a very, like, I don't want to say surface because that sounds like, but I just tried to not, I just always let him know I loved him. I loved his playing, the impact that he had on me. And I like to talk with him sometimes about things that had nothing to do with music and get to like sometimes if I was having a problem with my girlfriend at the time or something like that, I'd bring that up and he'd want to talk about that or health stuff. You know, we talked a lot about that stuff. And that was fascinating because you got to see that side of him where he was really bright. And that's part of the reason why he lived so long, facing as many health challenges as he had all the way from the late 90s or early 2000s, you know, is that he was really bright and willing to try things, and he was very focused and dedicated in doing it, you know. So he could focus his energy and his you know, whatever he put into practicing guitar 12 hours a day or whatever in the early days. I think he kind of focused that into other areas pretty well, like with health concerns and stuff like that, and managed to kind of try a lot of things that worked, you know, for a long time, you know, because he was very ill a lot of the time. And then we get better, you know. It's kind of amazing. Hi, Nini. You want to say hi to everybody? That's cheap. He's real skittish, this guy. Semi-feral for sure. Lets you selectively kind of come see. Look at he's right now. He's not sure about you guys. He's gonna get up and run away, aren't you? Oh, he's a cool dude. He's real sweet. Anyway, so I would say, you know, that I didn't get, you know, I mean, he's a lovely guy, you know, but I definitely sensed the potential there for, like, you know, because that's just, he had a unique life. I mean, he was like famous from the time that he was, you know, 19, 20, 21 years old. One of the greatest guitar players to ever walk the face of the earth, all those allocates and everything. And that it kind of changes a person. I don't just say go to your head or whatever, but it's like, you know, he was, I always had that in the back of my mind. I'm pretty good about dealing with these personalities. Like I've had to play with a lot of big rock star personalities and been around them and know how to navigate the sort of the psychology of it is one of the most important things that you can learn in my business, I think. And there's some things, you know, you just don't, it'd be better to not, you know, don't rock the boat or don't, you know, breach that subject or whatever, or don't, you know what I mean? And just keep it good because it's better that way, you know? So, I think that's kind of, you know, part of my, you know, I might have been able to say a lot more than I did or ask questions or do things that I did and he might've been like, I'm totally fine with that, you know, but it was just my perception and how I decided to deal with it because I never wanted it to go south and have him go, you know, Pete Thorn, screw that guy. He's never coming up here again. So, and that never happened. So, you know, anyways. Yeah. Okay. Oh, without the H, please. So Natalie, I see it's silent. Sorry, Natalie. I had to ask. I hate mispronouncing people's names, and I probably do it way too often. Thoughts on the Splon small block speakers? I haven't tried those. I haven't seen a lot of Splons. There was one in Friedman's shop, like a quick rod or whatever that was around. I remember Steve Stevens used to use them, but I didn't really hear that much about them, just to be honest. In later years after like 2010 or 11 or 12, you know, I just didn't know anybody with one in LA and stuff. I just remember seeing one in Dave's shop. That's about as close as I ever got. So, you ever think you'll make it to Alaska to play? I would love to, man. There's still 2 states that I haven't visited. So I've been to 48 of 50 states in the United States. And the 2 that I haven't been to are Alaska and Montana. And they're right next to where I grew up, basically. It was very weird that I've never made it to Montana. It's right below Alberta. It's very weird I've never made it to Alaska, which is right there too. So I don't know. But anyways, I'd love to make it up there to play sometime. That'd be great. I'm going to split pretty soon, guys, but just a couple more questions. I'll hang a full hour and a half here, so another 6 minutes or so. Looking into a refurbished MacBook so I can use GarageBand and record legit. Used to have a Zoom field recorder, and it's great, but my dog chewed it up. Any suggestions? Well, Joe, just get a good interface. I like the UA stuff, maybe get one of the Volt interfaces, and away you go. Get the MacBook, a Volt. Always use an external drive for audio. So pick up a good little, 500 gigabyte SSD is all you really need. Something like that to start with. That'll last you a long time. And away you go. There's a super chat. Thanks, Arthur. In case the kitter catters need a treat. They always do. They always do. I had it down through that chat to the end. Todd says, yeah, you don't want a hero think you that way. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the guy's nice enough to let you in. Don't pepper him with questions about, what pickup did you use on? Like, I tried to never do that. I did a couple things, but I would never. I tried to respect his. One thing about Ed was he seemed to be, kind of like, you get your own tone, like that kind of, that was from the beginning, right? Like, I don't know why guys always try and cop my thing. I'm just trying to be unique, So I always try to respect that because that's fair, Then he'd be like, I don't understand why you're just trying to steal my thing, even though he knew I would, play his, licks and stuff like that and learn. I got the nicest compliment I ever got from that guy. I mean, it was so amazing. He was very, very, very nice with compliments and being humble and being like, it surprised you, he was very, I think, when he got older, like really comfortable with telling people that, like, people would knock him out and he'd say it, if they're playing or whatever. But anyways, he texted me one day after I'd done those shows with Steve Stevens about 10 years ago. I did these, maybe more, 2011, 2012. I did these shows with Sebastian Bach and Steve Stevens at the Iridium, and we played Hot for Teacher. And he said, I was watching you play. I was watching, and I said, this guy's got good tone. And then he said, I realized it was you. and he goes, man, you do a good me, And I wrote him back, and I was like, I don't even know what to say. I was like, you just made my year, basically. But I said, thanks so much. I said, I'm really embarrassed now, that you saw that. But I think he knew I wasn't trying to, like, I wasn't using his amp and a striped guitar and whatever. I was playing it on a Les Paul that night, I think, on my Les Paul R9 or something. So anyway, he was just being nice and just reached out and said that. It was so cool, and I'll never forget that. I think I still have the text somewhere. Blows me away, that stuff. Super kind. Peter Evans, thank you, man, for the big old super chat. I appreciate that. Checking in on videos. I know you mentioned him earlier, but I missed him. Thanks so much, Peter. Appreciate the super chat. That's too kind. Too kind of you. It'll go towards coffee and cat treats. So videos this week. The Ethos preamp, I'll get that done. I'll get the Crazy Tube Circuits one done for the Venus. I've got one of, these pedals. I'm not going to remember the name of them right now, but there's these 2 very simple silver pedals that a guy makes. I say silver because they're kind of in a unique box case. I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, one's basically an analog chorus, and the other one's basically like a screamer. So I made a little video for him, both pedals in one video. So I got to put that out. I've just got a couple I got to get edited and out. But then there's another kind of exciting new product coming that won't come out till about the 20th of the month, I think, is the release date of September. So I got to get that done. Keeley drive pedal that I got to do. A couple other things, but that's some of the videos that I got coming over the next week or so. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna split. Thanks for bearing with me this week. At least you got to see Toby. That's pretty cool. Good times, right? He's a good guy. Toby, where'd you go? He's probably in the window in the other room. Doesn't want to say bye. So rude. Next week I'll be in my studio for this. I'll be at the space, and maybe I can show you my pedal board with the VP4 on it and stuff like that. We can talk more about that because I will have spent a little more time probably playing through it, programming sounds and stuff. But I'm loving it so far. Great combination with the 10D Musicom Lab switcher, VP4 for the post stereo effecty stuff, and the Zelza from Strymon on there. Got a Rocket Arch on there. The Crazy Tube Circuits Starlight, my favorite fuzz that's super versatile. And then I'm going to pull off. There's an Anodyne chorus on there right now from Providence. Great chorus pedal, love it, but it's redundant. I don't really need it with the Zelza on there too, because I found I can get very, very close to the sound for an in-front mono chorus with the Zelza. So it's like I could probably use another drive on this board of some sort. What kind? I don't know. An ampy, maybe like the Tim or I would put the unobtainium on there actually, but it won't fit. I think because it's dual pedal, so I got to pick a single pedal, single drive, something on there that'll augment, with the Archer and the Starlight fuzz. What else do I need now? Maybe more like an amp style drive, Duke of Tone, or something blues breaker based. I don't know. Got to think about it. Okay, everybody have a great week. Thanks so much. Think of some ideas for topics. Maybe I'll come up with one for next week and try it like a loose topic to kind of get the show started. Something we can riff on for a little bit. And I will see you guys real soon. Thanks. Take care. Over and out.